Hey now, welcome to Random Movie Club. I'm your host, Rob Logan. In each episode, I sit down with a co-host to discuss any movie of their choosing. The only qualification is that the movie is available to watch at home on DVD, Blu-ray, or digital. Before you listen to this show, I highly recommend that you watch the movie we're going to talk about, because we're going to spoil everything. Also, at the end of the episode, I'll tell you which movie we're going to discuss next, so you have enough time to watch it. If you enjoy Random Movie Club, you can help keep it going by supporting us on Patreon. Supporters get special benefits like bonus episodes, patron-only events, giveaways, and more. Show your support for Random Movie Club and the Geek Generation by visiting our Patreon campaign at thegeekgeneration.com/support. On this episode, I'll be discussing Kindergarten Cop with Paul O. Let's roll the film. Kindergarten Cop was released in 1990 from director Ivan Reitman. Written by Murray Salem, Herschel Weingrod, and Timothy Harris, the film stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Penelope Ann Miller, and Richard Tyson. Paul.
Rob.
Why did you choose Kindergarten Cop?
Well, let me tell you, Rob. Number of reasons.
Oh, boy.
First, this movie has a special place in my heart just because it was one of the first movies that I think my dad and I watched together. Not like first in terms of like the first movie.
Okay.
But it was kind of like the first sort of compromise movie for my dad, at least.
Interesting.
So like I grew up in Hawaii, and Kindergarten Cop, in addition to other Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and they all just kind of played, on Sunday afternoons, like if there was no football, or there was no programming, they would just kind of play like all of these random ass movies. And Kindergarten Cop was on it vastly more than any other movie.
Yeah,
it was like Kindergarten Cop, like some Burt Reynolds movie, like that Tom Hanks Canine movie,
Turner and
Hooch, yeah. And Kindergarten Cop was definitely on like once every couple of months at least.
Yeah.
Right. And for my dad, who was, he immigrated to this country in the 70s. And so like he was familiar with like action movies, and those are kind of like his favorite sort of genre.
Okay.
But he couldn't obviously watch a lot of those with me because I was still young and very impressionable. And like there was a lot of violence in those that my mom didn't approve of. But Kindergarten Cop came along. And it was like, oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger, this guy's from all the action movies. Maybe I will like this movie.
Okay.
And then my mom heard the title, and she's like, oh, yeah, it must be fine. Yeah, just watch. Like, it's okay if you watch
Didn't watch the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, definitely didn't watch like the first 20 minutes when like crackheads are getting shot up. But like, it was one of those movies that we had permission to watch together. And like literally every time it was on, we would always just kind of, anytime it would be like an hour into the movie, we would still watch it. Okay. Because it was one of those things where we could just pick up wherever and enjoy it. And then on top of that, for me, this is like the first time I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger not be an action hero.
Same.
And so it was kind of eye-opening to see him try to act, I'm not saying he's the greatest actor, but in this movie, like I believed that he was an undercover cop.
Sure.
Masquerading as a kindergarten teacher.
Sure.
So yeah, for me, it has a special place in my heart because of the familial connection, but also just like I enjoy the movie. It's funny as hell.
It is.
Like this is vintage Arnold.
It really is. I'd seen it a bunch of times prior to rewatching it for this, but this is the first time I've rewatched it since being a teacher for like a decade.
Oh, okay.
So there's a whole different lens that I'm looking at this movie through now.
I definitely appreciated the movie a lot more after having kids. Like I have no experience with teaching, but like after having children and seeing this movie, I'm like, oh yeah, you and I point to my son, are definitely one of those guys in the class.
Yeah.
Like, I can identify him as, one of the kids. So it was like, it is a different perspective, and it made the movie that much more enjoyable.
Cool. Well, as I always do, I go to IMDb and gather up a whole bunch of trivia. For this movie, Jack Nicholson and Danny DeVito were considered for the role of John Kimball. Bill Murray and Patrick Swayze were originally offered the role.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. So it wasn't just an Arnold vehicle at first.
Like it could have been a totally different,
totally different, because Bill Murray is not like action hero turned comedy, like that whole first part would have been very different, I feel.
Yeah, like the whole cop aspect of it would not been maybe not as good. I don't know.
It probably would have just been more comedic overall. Christian Slater was considered for the role of Crisp after Reitman had seen him in Heathers, but he turned it down to avoid being typecast.
Yeah, I think he would have been good.
Yeah.
And that would have been like a much different rewatching experience.
Sure.
Because I don't even know who the guy who played Crisp is. Like,
Richard Tyson or something like that.
Okay.
I know his last name's Tyson. I forget what the first name is.
Yeah, like I know I've seen him in like a couple other things, but like really not like a memorable character actor to me.
He's like, I remember him from this movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Arnold Schwarzenegger had a few conditions before accepting the role of John Kimball. He wanted Ivan Reitman to direct the film. He wanted a physical fitness theme. And he and Reitman both wanted broken homes, child abuse, and family life written into the script.
Wow. That's interesting.
So they made it a little deeper than originally was.
Yeah. And like, I mean, those were parts of it too that like I didn't understand growing up.
Same.
And like watching it again, I was like, oh my God, that's so dark.
Yeah, there's a lot of dark stuff.
Like, I can't even imagine like that happening in real life, but it definitely like you feel it, like it tugs at parts of your soul that are like,
Yeah. Astoria Elementary, the school in the movie, is just a few blocks from the Goonies house in Astoria. All of the classroom scenes, however, were shot on a set in LA so Arnold could be near his family.
Knowing what I know about Arnold and his family life during that time, like he is a really good dad, like from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have no reason to question it, but like, yeah. And like that whole Astoria, Oregon or whatever, like very scenic, like super nice. I remember thinking when I was a kid, like I would want to grow up in a place like that because it seems like a fairy tale sort of place to live.
Like a nice small town. Ivan Reitman invented the 5 Reitman rules of filmmaking for the kids. Listen, act natural, know your character, don't look in the camera, and be disciplined.
That just seems like all things that kids don't do.
Right? The last one especially. Be disciplined. Like, what did that mean?
What's discipline?
In reality, the kids loved Arnold Schwarzenegger. They were constantly climbing all over him like a jungle gym.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, no doubt. Be like, who's the giant man?
Yeah, like the guy is not tiny at all.
No.
You just think that, this is someone that is meant to climb.
Sarah Rose Carr, who plays Emma, was Ivan Reitman's favorite kindergartner. According to Reitman, quote, she marched to her own drummer. If she wants to stand, let her stand. If she wants to sit, let her sit. Also, the character is named Emma after Reitman's own daughter. Reitman brought the actress back in a bigger role when he made Beethoven.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the connection.
Oh, my God. I never even connected that before. That's amazing.
She was one of the most natural, like, performances from the kids. Their tongue just, like, licking all over her face and, like, just uneasy, and she never felt like she was delivering lines.
Yeah, she was just kind of like talking.
Yeah,
they were just like, just leave it in.
Yeah, they probably told her what to do and just like let her go.
Yeah. Awesome.
Elijah Wood auditioned for a part as a child actor in this movie. He later told Empire magazine that this was the worst audition he ever did. Which is why we didn't see him in it.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. This was Odette Annabelle's film debut. She was 5 years old. If you're not familiar with her, she's been on a lot of stuff over the years. Most notably for maybe our audience is she played Rain on Supergirl.
Okay. Oh,
she was the Spanish speaking girl.
Yeah.
Rosa, I think they call her in the movie.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, small part, but first thing at 5 years old.
Yeah.
When Kimball carries Phoebe into the motel, he says 2 short sentences in German. The first time he can be heard speaking his native language in a movie. The lines translate to, that makes me stinking mad, now I'm mad.
Really?
I guess.
That's wild. I don't even remember him speaking the German.
Me neither.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. The toy laser gun Dominic made that's seen twice in his room is modeled after a child's version of the proton pack used in the Ghostbusters movies, also directed by Ivan Reitman.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
He's just nodding to his own stuff. You can even see in Dominic's room, I think there's a pillow with the Ghostbusters logo on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I need to rewatch it.
I noticed that real quick. Lastly, Jason Reitman, who is Ivan Reitman's son and now a director himself, has a cameo as the boy making out with the girl that Kimball interrupts during the fire drill.
Oh my God, really?
Mhm.
That's incredible. I remember that guy so clearly because I remember thinking, like, what is he doing with that girl and why is he in trouble?
In the braces.
And then learning it later and being like,
Oh. Hey now. So the movie itself begins with Detective John Kimball tailing drug dealer Cullen Crisp. Right away, there's the title sequence, and you have like those crayon scratches, which is a nice visual thing. The audio was distracting of it like going every time.
Yeah.
Not the best choice.
I think they did that a lot in the 80s, though.
Totally.
Right? Definitely. I mean, like the credits in the pre-credits before the movie, like you always hear like a sound effect that went with them, and you're like, I don't get it. I thought this was supposed to be like the credits.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It was weird to have that like light, bumpy aesthetic at the beginning, too, when they're in like this dark, gritty part of the movie.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Crisp meets up with Danny, a kid who gives him some info on where his ex-wife and son have gone into hiding before Crisp kills him. This is all witnessed by Danny's friend Cindy, but Crisp doesn't notice her.
Yeah. I remember like, because I mean, clearly these people are on drugs.
Yeah.
But like, I remember like not being clear about what was wrong with them. And when I was a kid, like my mom and dad would tell me like, oh, they're just sick. And I'm like, oh, wow, they're really sick. They should go home.
Why are they out?
Like, why aren't they taking medicine and drinking fluids? Like,
they need saltines and soup.
Like, what's going on? And my mom was like, yeah, they're very sick. And I find out later that they're addicted to drugs. I'm like, that's not sick. But yeah, that's just me being dumb.
Crisp meets up with his mother in a salon when Kimball comes in and arrests him. This is when we get the first of many legendary Arnold lines from this movie. I'm a cop, you idiot.
Freeze! He's like, I'm a cop, you idiot.
So good. Crisp's relationship with his mother always creeped me out.
Very like Oedipus-y.
Yeah.
Like, kind of ew.
It's always like playing kisses on her and stuff. He's also, like we were saying, he's not like this known guy, and he's very singular to this movie. Although I think I saw this movie at such a young age that when someone's like saying slimy movie villain, like just that description, I picture Crisp.
Ponytail, like cheap suit. Yeah, definitely.
And then you think about later on in the movie when he's just like soaked from being in the school during the fire alarm. It's like, oh yeah, now he's really a slimy movie villain. Like he just looks gross, and
that is the archetype for it.
Yeah. In my brain, that's like just what I related to.
100%.
Cindy refuses to identify Crisp in the lineup. We also meet Captain Salazar here, portrayed by Richard Portnoy, who at the time I wouldn't have been able to point out here, but he plays Ben Stern in Howard Stern's Private Parts.
Oh.
So he plays Howard's dad.
That's right.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, it's him.
Wow, these are all revelations that like over the many years I've not thought of, but that's so weird.
This is why I'm here. Kimball finds Cindy in a drug den and informs her that if she doesn't ID Crisp, he won't leave her alone. Get another great quote in here.
I'm the potty pooper.
Yeah, it is.
It was like the best line. I loved it so much. Like I would just walk into the room as a kid, like I'm the potty pooper.
The potty pooper. This movie has so many good lines.
And
it's
that's
crazy.
Just vintage Arnold.
Yeah.
Like that is part of the reason why he is such like at least in my mind, like one of the great sort of actors in this genre is that he has all these punchy one-liners and he cultivated them at a time when it wasn't corny.
Yes.
Like everything had its place, and like because he was at the beginning, he was one of the originators of this sort of practice of like these catchy one-liners. I mean, he's the
action
god.
stars just had that.
Like you need that. Like you needed that in like the 80s and 90s to have like that career.
Yep.
That's amazing, and I love it.
So
never
good.
forget those lines.
Cindy agrees to the lineup eventually, and Crisp is put away. Salazar pairs Kimball up with Phoebe O'Hara to go undercover and find Crisp's ex-wife and kids so she can testify against him in exchange for immunity. O'Hara was a teacher before joining the force, so she's the perfect choice for this assignment. On the flight and ride to Oregon, Phoebe exhibits signs of getting sick, so on the first morning of school, Kimball goes in instead.
Yeah. definitely the best sort of vehicle for, oh yeah, she's just sick. You're up.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what to
do. Why?
Who are these tiny people? They need to work out.
He even said something like that at one point. I'm going to turn that like mush into muscle when he's dealing with the police school thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the first day of school, they go in. He introduces himself as Mr. Kimball, which made me think, if they're undercover cops,
why are they using their real names?
That's a problem.
Like, why not just Mr. Smith?
They said they were, I thought maybe like he screwed up, and then they were like, oh, we were expecting a Mrs. O'Hara or Miss O'Hara. And I was like, really? Like,
yeah,
I know this.
Yeah. Like,
why do they not know this?
This is like undercover police 101.
Yeah.
Like, don't use your real name.
He goes into the classroom, introduces himself. All the kids are there. And we get another classic Arnold line. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Oh, God. I love it. I love it so much.
We meet the kids. Lowell, who's obsessed with death.
Oh, yeah.
Joseph's dad, who's a gynecologist, which as a kid was my favorite line in the movie.
I mean, like, that's how I learned about anatomy.
Right? Because boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Thanks for the tip.
Oh, my God. So great.
Emma then needs to use the bathroom, so Kimball asks another teacher, Joyce, for help.
Mm-hmm.
And this is their kind of meet cute, even though he saw her really quick at the beginning. The classroom gets out of control until Kimball screams for them to shut up, and they all start crying.
Oh, my God. As a father, I identify with him so much. Because, like, I could just... Like, I've walked into classrooms before, like dropping off my kids late, and I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
I would be yelling at these children right now. Like, how are you keeping a straight face?
As a teacher, fired. You cannot do that.
And it's just, I love his face, like his facial expression.
Oh, God, it's crazy.
Like, it's like, just like, shut up! His eyes are like bulging out of his head. Like, it looks like Total Recall, except like maybe too many years earlier. Like, it's amazing.
He runs out of the building and screams, displaying what I have felt so many times in my life. And then he runs to grab his pet ferret and brings him in as the new class mascot. Yeah, we're having fun now.
Yes. Fun now.
Fun. It's so ridiculous. I love it.
Oh, my God.
On the second day of school, Sylvester's mom, Joanne, is introduced as a red herring. She fits the profile of Crisp's ex-wife.
Right. And this is the mom, the son is getting abused.
No, this is the blonde.
Oh, right.
And this is a weird part of the movie that I don't think would fly in a movie now. Is they have a conversation. They sit down to talk about her concerns that her son is playing with dolls.
Oh,
insinuating that I think he might be gay. And then Kimball's help to her is that Sylvester is just using the dolls to look up girls' skirts. And she says, that's a relief. Because it was 1990 and that's where we were.
Oh, my God.
Lawsuits like crazy these days.
Cancel culture in full effect.
Yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger would just be like, oh, my God. But
I was like, that's the most dated part of this movie by far. Crazy. Kimball then interrogates the kids, and we get them all giving us great lines, but also we get some other classic lines like, I have a headache. Maybe it's a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
Yeah.
We're going to play a game.
Who is your daddy
and what does he do?
This is the show, guys. This is all we're doing. It's just quoting the movie.
But it's like the best. Like,
This is
so good.
We also get the twins who give their answer.
Yeah.
Our mom says that our dad is a real sex machine.
That's the kind of thing nowadays. Like, if a kid said that in class, like, there would be an immediate phone call.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah. Fire alarm shows the rest of the school just how disorganized the kindergarten is because they take so long to get out there. And he gets shamed. The whole class gets shamed by the principal.
Like, you guys are so slow. It's like, I don't know.
Kimball and O'Hara randomly encountered Joyce and her son Dominic at a restaurant in town, and she invites them to join them for dinner. O'Hara notices that Kimball and Joyce are attracted to each other and pushes it as much as possible.
Yeah. Now, and this is like a funny part of the movie where I guess it's believable that they're family and that, you know, that she would need to adopt the German accent in order to sound like him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it was hilarious because it's just like, okay. I mean, you don't need, okay.
Right?
I guess.
You could just say, like, you're adopted or...
Yeah.
You don't need to go that way, Ursula.
But it's like, all right, whatever. But
that's fine. And then I like the Dominic's comment, though. Like, I like the way they talk. On the third day, Kimball introduces the concept of police school as a disciplinary method, which works shockingly well.
Yeah. This is the speech, right? Like the one where he's like, nobody's gonna be here to wipe your tushes.
Yeah.
There is no bathroom.
All that? No way.
Yeah, you'd be fired.
Never be allowed.
I'm going to be your sheriff. You're going to be my deputy trainees. Oh, come on. Stop whining. You kids are soft. You lack discipline. Well, I've got news for you. You are mine now. You belong to me. You're not gonna have your mommies run behind you anymore and wipe your little tushes. Oh, no. It's time now to turn this mush into muscles. No more complaining. No more Mr. Kimball have to go to the bathroom. Nothing. There is no bathroom.
But that is one of, like, the better speeches.
It
like,
is.
I remember that speech vividly. It is up there for me in terms of, like, movie speeches. There's the kindergarten cop speech. There is the I live my life a quarter mile at a time from Fast and the Furious, and Bill Pullman's speech in Independence Day where he's like, we're going to fuck these aliens. I mean, that's not a quote.
Right,
but, you know, those three are like the pinnacle of movie speeches for me.
That's quite the trifecta.
I mean, it's no indication of like me being a quality movie fan. It's just those three are amazing to me.
Yeah. We get some uplifting montage music as the kids are training in all their police school ways.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The principal notices the improvement in the class. And then the movie starts to shift focus on one kid in particular, Zach Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the kid.
And this is the abused kid, right?
who's being abused. The movie is clearly trying to make us think that now maybe he's the one who's Crisp's likely son.
Yeah.
Joyce asks Kimball to dinner at her home, and Kimball catches Phoebe's fiance visiting her in the motel, which is a random bit in the whole movie.
Like I don't know how this factors into everything else.
It doesn't at all.
It's just like this weird side quest where it's like, why is he here?
Yeah. I mean, he shows up at the end real quick, but again, no real point to him being there. Also, wouldn't this be insanely unprofessional for undercover cops to have visitors from their real life come
like
in?
Your operational security or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like this is a bad idea.
Like, it's your birthday, fine. Celebrate later.
Yeah. Maybe in a couple of weeks when I'm off the job.
Yeah. It's not supposed to take that long. And yeah, it just, like we said, feels kind of unnecessary. The only other thing that I could think of them including it for is that audiences, I don't know if studios made this assumption and were just like, anyone who watches this is going to wonder why O'Hara is not into Kimball.
Oh,
we need to give her a reason why she's not jumping all over him. That's the only thing I can think of.
Hey, maybe it was Arnold who's like, you know, I am a muscular specimen. People will not believe that I am sleeping in the same room as a woman and she's not all over me.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, like, every other woman in the movie is all about him.
Yeah.
So, like, literally, all the single moms.
All of them. Yeah. And it just is a stark portrayal of this town that there are so many single mothers. Mm-hmm. There's just so many of them. It's like, where are all the fathers?
They all ran away. They're all in France.
Oh.
Back at school, Kimball finds out that Zach's father abuses him and his mother. He's also eliminated at this point as one of Crisp's potential kids.
And does he threaten the father at one point?
Oh, yeah. He goes outside. And actually, we will get to that. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a point where that happens too. Then on the date at Joyce's house, Dominic shows Kimball his lasers to keep the bad people away.
Mm-hmm. And this just seems like, again, something that has not aged well. It's like, sure, son, go climb the crazy antenna tower 50 feet into the air and go hook up your lasers. Like, that's just poor parenting. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you letting your child out into the wilderness to climb radio towers?
Well, he hasn't put anything up there yet. And that's not this point where he climbs it.
Oh, okay.
That happens later.
Yeah.
Right now, they're just in the bushes. And he's like, he shows him the tower. He's like, I'm going to put my lasers up there.
Okay.
Yeah. Suspicious, he searches the house and asks some personal questions, now suspecting that Joyce and Dominic are the ones he's looking for. Joyce shares some info that makes it seem even more likely, although O'Hara finds no evidence of the $3 million she supposedly took from him.
And this is like the part of the movie where you're like, I could definitely tell that you're a cop. If I was the subject of your investigation and you started asking me these questions,
very leading
in the way that you were asking them, like, it kind of took me out of that part of the movie because I was like, you're not a teacher.
Yeah. She'd be like, why are you focusing on these particular aspects of things?
None of the other things, like the fact that he's built like a mountain, or like he's running his like classroom like a military installation. But, you know, the fact that you're asking these pointed questions in such a way makes me believe that maybe
I didn't even think about the police school thing. It's like, she would probably see that at some point. Her son's in the class.
Yeah.
He's going to come home and be like, we're police school.
Like, I don't understand. This is not approved curriculum.
Yeah. Zach arrives to school late one day and Kimball finds bruises on him. So he goes outside to see his father and slams him up against the car, gives him the punch in the gut and all that stuff.
And that was like the sort of like, you're like,
yeah.
That's what I would do to somebody if I found them abusing a kid. Like, fuck yeah. And it's Arnold too. So you're like, tear his arm off. You fucking do it.
Eat him.
Just tear his arm off and be like, this arm belongs to me now.
I'm going to beat you with your own arm.
And look, children, I found an arm outside.
The principal calls him into her office and shockingly says how good of a teacher he is before asking how good it felt to hit Zach's father. I love when the doors close, she's just like, throws the punch.
That's like a definite HR violation.
Oh, yeah. Cindy turns up dead as a result of Crisp's mother's meddling, and Crisp is released as a result. Is that how that really works?
I don't know. There's too many like gaping holes in the entire thing. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, if she was the only witness and there was nothing else available in terms of like evidence, they might dismiss the case. But I mean, it's one of those Hollywood things that, like,
I mean, they're undercover working on the case right now. So I think they could justify holding him for a couple days.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I saw as a youth and thought, And then I became a lawyer and I'm like, that's wrong.
At the school fair, the kids perform the Gettysburg Address that they've been practicing, and the principal publicly praises Kimball's work and suggests that he should consider staying on a permanent basis.
Yeah, that was one of those things. I was like,
I was a little concerned when at the beginning of the movie, she was like, I had to force a 25-year veteran of teaching out so you could come in and be an undercover cop. And now she's like, I'm not even going to give that woman her job back.
It's like, you seem to be doing a good job, even despite the fact that we have a 25-year-old vet or a 25-year veteran of the teaching profession.
And you're not certified to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Which I think was still a thing.
Gaping holes.
It's fine. O'Hara tells Kimball about Cindy, and Kimball comes clean to Joyce. She takes Dominic and drives off as she's saying, there is no money. Crisp is just after Dominic.
Yeah, you kind of got the sense that they didn't have the money, that because they were, I mean, you know, like when you're watching it as a kid versus when you're watching it as an adult, like you notice things as an adult that don't necessarily like factor into your consideration when you're a child. Like, for example, when I rewatched it, I was like, that's a really nice house. Maybe that's where the money went. Maybe they just paid. And then I'm immediately thinking to myself, like, but this is 1990. property values are not that inflated.
And she did say that they were staying, it was her friend's house, and they were staying there as like a favor.
It just ruined the entire movie.
Yeah, although she could have been lying about the fact that it was her friend's house, but
yeah,
I don't know. Kimball goes to Joyce's house to find her frantically looking for Dominic. They end up finding him on the tower, trying to put the lasers on the antenna. Joyce is planning on running again, but Kimball convinces her to stay. And that like face mashingly hard kiss.
It was super aggressive. Like it's like, Arnold, what are you doing? You're gonna crush her.
That's what it looked like.
It's like, what are you doing?
I was like, do they both not know what they're doing, or is Arnold just like that's how he kisses too?
They're like, kiss her passionately, and he's like,
be like, I don't know how to do things without a gun.
I can only do things powerfully.
There's no lower setting.
there's only nothing and then sex.
That's it. I'm going in. Crisp arrives at school posing as a parent who might be moving to town. During a tour of the school, he sees Kimball in the classroom with his son, which had to be terrifying for him.
Yeah.
He didn't know that his like arch enemy was right there.
Yeah.
He goes into the library and starts a fire, setting off the alarm. In the ensuing chaos, he grabs Dominic and he tries telling him that he's his father. Luke. No. But Dominic doesn't believe him.
Like child abduction.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Also, like there's that scene like before when they first get to town and he's like shopping at a toy store and he just beats the brakes off that guy right outside of the store for like what is like basically a $20 race car track.
RC car track. Yeah.
Like, how is this guy not institutionalized? He just basically murdered somebody for a toy.
Yeah. There's also the scene of his mom in the pharmacy.
Oh, yeah.
And she's buying like all the medications. And like, did we need this data in the movie like that she was now going to like overly medicate her grandson?
And that she's been doing it for a while.
And she's been doing it to him. Yeah.
I just interpreted that to mean like maybe that's why he's a psychopath.
That like, he's just over medicated.
Like the worst helicopter parent in the world basically turned her son into a psychopath. But also that's super gross because it just kind of added to that relationship and you're just like, ugh.
That and she or like he holds up the anal thermometer or the rectal thermometer.
Yeah.
And that just adds another layer of complexity that I didn't understand when I was a kid.
Yeah. But as an adult, you're like,
ooh. Joyce runs back into the school and Crisp knocks her down. As Kimball approaches, Crisp grabs Dominic and holds the gun to him. Holding his own friggin' son as the thing that he's been going after the whole time.
Yeah. Like, that's my hostage. Like,
yeah, like good pick.
Like, okay.
Kimball's ferret leaves Dominic's sweater and bites Crisp, giving Kimball the opportunity to shoot and kill him. And then throughout the entire movie, like anytime the ferret came up, he was like, oh, he doesn't bite. Just to like set this up. Also, love the way he says ferret.
Ferret.
This is a ferret. It's the best. We're at a point where we're making fun of people's accents. That's...
Like, I can totally see them being like in the like the table read. They're like, no, Arnold, it's ferret. Ferret. No, Arnold, ferret. Ferret. He's like, it's like, we'll fix it in post. And then the audio editor is just like at the end, he's like, I don't know how to fix this.
There's nothing I can do.
This is just a guttural sound from a very muscular man. It just sounds like somebody's screaming.
It's so good. It just like screams out of every sentence he says. Crisp's mother arrives and shoots Kimball before finding her son dead. Before she can deliver one more fatal shot, though, O'Hara appears and knocks her out with a baseball bat. This is after being hit by the car.
Yeah, like she got hit by a car, walks in, and just like home runs into the lady's body. Like, incredible. To me, it was like one of the second most satisfying scenes in the movie. Just getting to see somebody who was just hit with a car hit the person who hit her with a baseball bat.
And her one-liner is great, too.
What was the one-liner again?
Not so tough without your car.
Yeah, that's right. And she looks like shit.
Yeah.
She's just like,
Kimball's taken out of the school on a stretcher as the kids walk with him. He's like straight out. That one kid like breaks your heart though.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. Kimball, are you okay? Like, oh my God.
I half wanted him to be like, of course I'm not okay. Look at me.
I'm hurt.
I've been shot.
Where's my ferret?
Where's my ferret?
After his recovery, Kimball returns to the classroom to a group hug from the kids. Joyce comes in to give him one more overly aggressive kiss. And that is Kindergarten Cop.
Again, this isn't the greatest movie.
Yeah, but like, I mean, it has the flaws that I see are all like procedural.
Yeah.
As a movie, it's super enjoyable.
Yeah. It's I wouldn't say it's junk food, but it's enjoyable. It's pleasurable. I love that this movie can be wholesome and also terrifyingly un-PC at the same time. And the fact that, you know, you get to see Arnold in a different capacity than you did see him in the prior decade is incredible. And like, he has decent comedic timing for somebody who was never a comedian. And so, I mean, that's just one of the other reasons I enjoyed the movie. But I mean, Kindergarten Cop is always up there. Like, if at some point a new digital medium comes out where I need to buy a disc for it or whatever, Kindergarten Cop's always going to be one of those movies.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I had the DVD, I got the Blu-ray, and I have a digital copy. And it's just like, I will always have that movie, not just because it's close to my heart, but I also just love watching that movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those movies I can pick up at any point, and as I'm watching it, I'll say the lines along with the people, and it's incredible. Like, again, you know, it's like Independence Day and Fast and the Furious for me. It's like, I can watch it, I can enjoy it, and never will not like it.
Super rewatchable, infinitely quotable.
Yeah, and it's Arnold. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like, my personal goal with Random Movie Club, and I think I've told you about this before.
Yeah.
It's just to, like, do all the Arnold movies because fuck it, they're amazing. Like,
they are.
I mean, going up to maybe, I don't know, like 2000. Like, after that, it gets kind of questionable.
Sure.
But like all the way up until like through the 90s, incredible movies.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for joining me once again, Paul.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a ferret.
It's a ferret. That'll do it. Random Movie Club is a production of the Geek Generation. If you like this show, be sure to check out our other podcasts on the Geek Generation Network at thegeekgeneration.com. Don't forget, you can support Random Movie Club and get access to exclusive bonus content by visiting our Patreon campaign at thegeekgeneration.com/support. Our theme song is provided by Michael McLeod of Wolfsden Music. A link to his site can also be found on our site. Thanks for listening, and make sure you join us next time when we'll discuss Dead Poets Society. See you then.